The story begins in the gray, weathered streets of Detroit. We meet 12-year-old Eli. Eli is a quiet, handsome kid who was adopted into a hardworking family. He spends his days salvaging scrap metal from abandoned buildings to earn a little cash. But one ordinary afternoon, Eli wanders into a colossal derelict warehouse that feels completely different from the others. The air inside is freezing cold, even though it is the dead of summer, and frost lines the floor. Suddenly, Eli hears a strange whirring sound. He creeps deeper into the shadows and discovers the aftermath of a bizarre, futuristic battle. Scattered on the ground are several motionless bodies clad in sleek, advanced armor suits. Next to them lies a strange, metallic artifact that resembles an oversized high-tech blaster. Terrified but utterly captivated, Eli reaches down and picks it up. The moment his fingers wrap around the grip, a blue light pulses to life, and a subtle mechanical hum vibrates through his hands. It doesn't look like any weapon built on Earth, but before he can investigate, the sound of collapsing debris forces him to hide the mysterious object in his backpack and run. Eli returns home to his stern, straight-laced adoptive father, Hal, who works construction and believes in absolute discipline. But there is a massive shift in the household dynamic tonight. Eli's older brother, Jimmy, has just been released from a grueling 6-year prison sentence. Jimmy enters the house desperate to pick up the pieces of his life and earn his father's forgiveness. He flashes a quick smile, trying to act like everything is completely fine, but the tension between him and Hal is thick enough to cut with a knife. Hal makes it clear that Jimmy has a long way to go before he ever earns his trust back. What Hal doesn't know is that Jimmy is harboring a dangerous, lethal secret. While inside, Jimmy had to rely on a ruthless, psychotic local crime lord named Taylor Balik for protection. Now that Jimmy is free, Taylor has shown up to collect the debt. Taylor and his unhinged brother, Dutch, corner Jimmy in a dark alleyway, demanding $60,000 in cold cash immediately. If Jimmy doesn't deliver the money by tomorrow night, Taylor promises to butcher his entire family. Desperate and running out of time, Jimmy begs his father for help, asking him to open the construction company's safe so he can pay off the gang. Hal is deeply disgusted by Jimmy's relapse into crime and firmly refuses to compromise his morals. Left with absolutely no choice, Jimmy sneaks out in the dead of night, intending to break into his father's office and steal the cash himself. But Taylor and his crew are tracking Jimmy's every move, and they ambush the office to ensure the robbery goes smoothly. Just as Jimmy fills a bag with the money, Hal walks into the building and catches them red-handed. Hal instantly recognizes the danger and refuses to back down, gripping a heavy crowbar to protect his business. Taylor, completely devoid of mercy, draws his pistol and shoots Hal directly in the chest. Jimmy screams in pure agony as his father collapses to the floor, motionless. A chaotic, desperate struggle breaks out over the gun. In the frenzy, Jimmy pulls the trigger wildly, and a stray bullet strikes Taylor's brother, Dutch, right through the neck, killing him instantly. Horrified by the sudden bloodshed, Jimmy grabs the money bag and flees into the night, leaving a vengeful, broken-hearted Taylor weeping over his brother's body and vowing to hunt Jimmy down across the country. Jimmy sprints back to the house, his mind racing with sheer panic. He finds Eli sleeping peacefully and realizes he has to protect his little brother at all costs. Jimmy lies directly to Eli's face, claiming that Hal is stuck working a late-night emergency shift out of town and wants them to meet him out west for a surprise family vacation. Completely oblivious to the tragedy, Eli packs his bags and grabs his heavy backpack, which still conceals the glowing alien weapon. The two brothers load into a truck and hit the highway, leaving Detroit far behind. Along their journey, they stop at a neon-lit, rowdy gentleman's club where Jimmy wants to let loose and blow off some steam. There, Eli strikes up a quiet conversation with a vulnerable, kind-hearted dancer named Millie. Millie is tired of the exploitation and dreams of escaping her bleak reality. When a chaotic, violent brawl erupts between Jimmy and the club's aggressive bouncers, Eli realizes his brother is about to be beaten to a pulp. Instinct takes over. Eli sprints out to the truck, unzips his backpack, and reveals the massive alien blaster. Eli marches back into the club, raises the heavy weapon, and aims it directly at the bouncers. Eli pulls the trigger, and a devastating, blinding beam of kinetic energy erupts from the barrel. The blast hits the pool table, completely vaporizing it and blowing a massive hole straight through the back wall of the establishment. The sheer shockwave sends everyone crashing to the floor, completely paralyzed with fear. Taking advantage of the utter chaos, Eli, Jimmy, and Millie sprint out to the truck and speed away into the night. As the trio drives deeper into the countryside, the narrative perspective shifts back to the ruins of Detroit. Taylor Balik has assembled a heavily armed militia of mercenaries, entirely consumed by a monstrous thirst for vengeance. He tracks the trail of destruction left by the alien blaster, murdering anyone who gets in his way as he closes the gap on Jimmy. At the same time, a pair of mysterious, silent bounty hunters known as the Cleaners appear on the highway. Clad in intimidating, sleek armor and riding matching futuristic motorcycles, they track the unique energy signature of the missing blaster. The Cleaners use advanced technology to scan the environment, effortlessly tracing the weapon's location straight to the brothers. Meanwhile, the bond between Eli and Jimmy grows deeper as they travel through the vast American landscape. Jimmy finally feels like a real older brother, teaching Eli how to drive and sharing moments of genuine laughter. But the illusion of safety is shattered during a routine stop at a remote gas station. While waiting at the counter, Eli looks up at a television screen and sees a breaking news broadcast. His heart drops into his stomach as the anchor reveals a photo of his father's body, naming Jimmy as the prime suspect in a brutal murder and robbery investigation. Eli is completely shattered by the realization that his father is dead and that his brother has been lying to him this entire time. Confronted by Eli's tears and fury, Jimmy breaks down and confesses everything, weeping as he explains that he only lied to protect him from the horrific truth. Before they can resolve their fractured trust, local state police cruisers surround their vehicle, arresting both Jimmy and Eli on the spot. They are transported to a small, isolated county police station and locked into holding cells. Just as the local detective Morgan begins to interrogate a silent, heartbroken Eli, an absolute nightmare arrives outside. Taylor Balik and his heavily armed gang pull up to the station, unleashing a relentless, catastrophic hail of gunfire upon the building. They systematically execute the deputies in the lobby, turning the police station into a horrific war zone. Taylor stalks through the blood-stained hallways, shouting Jimmy's name and promising a slow, agonizing death. Realizing they are entirely sitting ducks, Detective Morgan makes a desperate move to unlock the holding cells, arming Jimmy and Eli so they have a fighting chance. Taylor's mercenaries breach the cell block, pinning Jimmy down in a lethal crossfire. Seeing his brother seconds away from being executed, Eli recovers his backpack from the evidence locker. Eli steps into the corridor and unleashes a barrage of brilliant, explosive energy beams. The kinetic blasts rip through concrete walls and instantly vaporize Taylor's men, turning the tide of the battle in a spectacular display of cosmic power. Eli advances into the main lobby, confronting Taylor Balik face-to-face. Taylor draws his weapon, his face twisted with psychopathic rage, but before he can fire, Eli unleashes a maximum-capacity energy blast. The blinding light completely decimates the front of the police station, burying Taylor under a mountain of smoking rubble, ending his reign of terror once and for all. But just as Eli and Jimmy prepare to step through the smoke to safety, they find themselves completely surrounded by over a dozen heavily armed tactical police units closing in on the perimeter. There is absolutely no escape. Suddenly, everything in the universe grinds to an absolute halt. Time itself completely freezes. The flashing red police lights stop blinking. Drifting dust particles suspend in midair, and the shouting tactical officers lock into motionless statues. Eli looks around in utter bewilderment as the temperature inside the room plummets and frost rapidly crystallizes across the walls. The two mysterious cleaners step through the front doors, their advanced weapons drawn. They approach Eli, and the lead hunter taps a console on his neck, causing his mechanized helmet to retract. To Eli's absolute shock, a human man is staring back at him. The cleaner speaks to Eli with immense respect, explaining that they are not here to cause harm, but they must retrieve the weapon because it doesn't belong in this timeline. He points directly to a distinctive geometric scar on Eli's arm, revealing that the mark is an advanced genetic activator. Eli is the only entity on Earth capable of firing the blaster, because he isn't actually from this version of reality. The cleaner explains that Eli's true biological parents are elite soldiers locked in a catastrophic, multi-dimensional war on a parallel Earth. They hid Eli here to protect his life, but his true family is counting on him to return when he is older. Eli watches in awe as the cleaners activate a mechanized baton, tearing open a glowing, shimmering rift in the fabric of space-time. Before stepping through the portal, The cleaner looks back and promises Eli that he will see his true parents again. And when he does, he will be the one giving the orders. The portal collapses, the cleaners vanish into thin air, and time instantly violently rights itself. The tactical police rush the room, tackling Jimmy to the floor and placing Eli in cuffs. Hours later, Eli sits safely in the back of an ambulance, watching the chaotic flurry of emergency lights. Detective Morgan approaches him, revealing that Jimmy is taking the full blame for the robbery and murder to ensure that Eli's future remains entirely protected as a minor. Jimmy is going away to prison for a while, but he has chosen to sacrifice his freedom to save his little brother. As the police load Jimmy into a transport cruiser, the two brothers lock eyes across the crowded parking lot. Eli offers his brother a familiar, reassuring wink, and Jimmy flashes a wide, proud grin back before the doors close.